on the injury front, Denzel has a hamstring injury. Donovan has a groin injury. We'll see how those guys progress here over the next week or so. So I can't tell you about their availability for next week. You got to see how it goes over the next week. Watching the tape, don't feel much different than I did last night. It was a gutty performance by a bunch of guys. Proud of how they fought, played complimentary football, and came away with the win. And now everybody gets to get a little mini bye here, as you do after these Thursday night games, go for the fresh, and then come back for a big one next week. With that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Coach. The first one will be from Tom Withers.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Coach. I know you're going to have to manage Baker's injury going forward here. Would another week make any difference with this type of injury, Kevin? Would that do him much more good?
I don't know the exact answer to that, Tom. I would just tell you we're going to continue to listen to the medical staff on this, and when he's ready, he's ready.
And I know you have not taken the law firm of Batonio, Treader, and Teller for granted at any point, but what has been their impact, Kevin, during this time where you've had injuries and so many issues across the front there?
Yeah, I think those three guys in particular, it's hard to single guys out on the offensive line. You get fined for doing that. But that group has to play as one, all five guys. And when you have the three guys inside that play a very physical brand of football, it makes a big deal. And some of these fronts that we play, quite honestly, there's some big people up front, especially last night. A bunch of these under front teams, odd front teams, there's some really stout fronts that we're facing. So to have a physical group, and then ultimately just with Jed and Blake last night, those guys really played as one, all five of them. And Jed in particular, hasn't practiced and wasn't perfect, but he's another example of a guy who he wanted to be out there with his teammates. And then Blake, playing left tackle, playing right tackle, just performs and does his job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Fred Greetham is next. Fred, if you could go ahead and unmute your line, please.
Okay, thought I did.
Go ahead, we have you. All right, Fred, we're going to come back to you. Seems like we lost you again. Mary Kay Cabot is up.
Yeah, Kevin, can you just maybe address a little bit? Odell had such an uncharacteristic first half, and of course, we saw what he was trying to do in pregame warmups, and it was a game time decision. But can you attribute most of that to just him trying to battle through probably what was a ton of pain?
Yeah, I think so, Mary Kay. I don't see him drop very many balls in practice or games. He fought very, very hard to make it to that game. Went through pregame warm-up, felt comfortable putting him out there. He made some plays for us in the second half. But yeah, he's hard on himself. He doesn't ever expect to have the ball on the ground.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mary Kay. We'll go to Daryl Ryder.
Hey, Kevin, I know you said you didn't want to single out anyone on the offensive line, but I'm going to break the rule here. Jed finishing the game last night. First of all, how important of a benchmark was that for him? And then just your overall thoughts on how he played.
Yeah, it was good to see him back out there, really. He hasn't practiced very much, and really in a short week, no one practices. So it wasn't perfect, it wasn't clean. But again, to have him back out there, he's a factor in the run game. He did a nice job in the pass game. So we'll have, the nice part now is he gets back to practice and he's starting to feel healthy, and we can start to, continue to improve.
Appreciate it, Daryl. Jeff Shadell will have our next question.
Hey, Kevin, last year, Baker always talked about how the bye week was an important period of your development last year. Can you and the coaches use these 3 days as in a similar way?
Yeah, I think we can, Jeff. With how late our real bye is, you do have to use this as a point where you look at yourself. So we're doing some of that right now as a coaching staff. What can we learn after a 7-game sample? And then ultimately you got 5 more games until that real bye hits. So we want to make sure that we pull this thing apart as much as we can, because I think the sample size is decent at 7 games, and find out areas that we need to improve and identify the areas that we need to improve, and then really look at them and see how we can do that.
Thank you, Jeff. Scott Petrick, you're up.
Hey, Kevin, I wanted to touch base on a couple of injury guys. Do you have any idea about Nick Chubb and Jack Conklin for the next game against Pittsburgh?
I'll wait till next week, Scott, to give you a better feel, but I'm hopeful.
Okay. And do you have any better idea if Odell, when he fell on the shoulder yesterday, if that affected it negatively and might keep him out?
No, I mean, it affected him negatively because it hurt, but he fought through it and made some plays for us. So I do anticipate that he'll come out of this thing.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Dan Lobby, go ahead.
Hey, Kevin, Dearness is kind of just the latest example of guys on this team who, when you kind of call on them in a pinch, they step up. Like Blake did it last year and is doing it this year. Donovan, his first start last year. I mean, it's a long list. What is it about these guys that allows them to stay ready, and what you guys are doing to prepare them when they're in these moments?
Yeah, I think it's it's the oldest cliche there is, the next man up, and it's easy to say, but we put a major focus on staying ready, and what that means to me is in the course of your work week, in the course of the meeting room and the walkthroughs and the practice reps, that you make sure you're getting yourself ready to play, even if you're a backup. We've seen so many times where a guy goes down in pregame warmups, or a guy goes down early in the game, and you're thrust into a role where you got no reps, real live reps during the game. And it really, that is not an excuse not to do your job. So I think the guys do a great job of taking those mental reps, learning from reps that maybe they didn't get, and learning lessons and refining their game to get ready to play.
And I know the players obviously get the credit first, but is there something with your assistant coaches that you guys emphasize to make sure that, these guys are going to be ready?
Well, certainly the players get the credit, but I thought the coaches this past week were outstanding. Again, I don't want to single guys out, but I would tell you Chad O'Shea in particular, with the moving parts at that position, and then Donovan going down, I thought he was outstanding getting those guys ready to play. But I think the coaches on a short week put together a great plan and really made sure their guys were ready to go.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Nate Ulrich has our next question.
Hey, Kevin, with Blake Hance, starting the previous 2 games left tackle and then right tackle this one, how did he fare on that side? And is he kind of like, have you tapped into something with him? Is maybe, a guy like Chris Hubbard who can be that valuable, 6th man that you can move around? Has he shown you that he has that, level of versatility to his game?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's shown that, Nate. He's a smart, tough football player. And if you think back to the preseason, he's playing center, he's playing some guard, throw him out there at left tackle, throw him out there at right tackle. I mean, there's such great value and versatility. But Blake really fits what we do. He fits who we are. And he's really trying to get better every single day.
Thanks, Nate. Fred, let's try your line again. All right, sorry about that, Fred. Looks like we're still having issues
Hear
there.
me? You got
Yes,
it?
we have you.
Hey, Coach, I'm sorry about that. As far as the defense really stepped up, you've been needing that, and that really, the first 4, I think they got off the field, 3 punts and interception. That really allowed you to get the lead and kind of dictate the game. Can you just talk about needed that performance last night?
Yeah, I thought the guys really played well. We gave up 2 drives in the second half, which we'll definitely correct those type of things. But I thought rushing coverage were good. I thought the guys were, winning on 1st and 2nd down and putting them in some longer 3rd and to go distances. And the guys were sound in their assignments. And then when we had to rally, we made tackles short of the sticks. So that's obviously, you'd love to do that every single time. But I thought the guys really executed the defense well last night.
Thanks.
Thank you, Fred. Back to Mary Kay Cabot.
Yeah, Kevin, with the uncertainty of Baker Mayfield's injury, what is your comfort level with Case Keenum being able to hold down the fort whenever you're going to need him to? And do you anticipate him, even getting better than what you saw last night, just, with other guys being healthy around him and him kind of knocking the rust off a little?
Yeah, Mary Kay, I think the expectations for our positions don't change regardless of who's in there. So that we have expectations for the quarterback, how they play. And I thought Case played well last night. He made good decisions. He spread the ball around, took care of the football. But really across the board, when Dearness is in there, we expect Dearness to do his job. Whomever it is that's in the starting lineup, we really expect them to do their job.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mary Kay. Daryl Ryder, go ahead.
I promise I'm not trying to get you fined here. I got a Myles Garrett holding question for you. What's it just say about him as a player that he's able to fight through the attention he's commanding, and he's still able to pile up the sack numbers that he has in spite of, you see opponents steering him with his face mask and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, Myles is going to get a ton of attention. I promise you, every Wednesday or Monday, the opposing coaches are talking about how to stop him. So they're going to chip him, they're going to slide to him, and in the course of the game, I understand how it's going to go. We'll deal with those things internally, but Myles is going to get attention.
Thank you, Daryl. We'll go to Aaron Goldhammer.
Hey, Coach, was the organization taken by surprise that report came out and when it did before the game?
Aaron, which report is that?
So the report about Baker's broken bone in his arm.
No.
Thanks, Aaron. We'll go to Scott Petrick.
Hey, Kevin, how nice was it to see John Johnson III get that interception? I know he's been itching to make a big play for you.
Yeah, that was outstanding, Scott. We were +1 in the turnover margin. We're really focusing on getting those takeaways any which way we can. He's got great ball skills. He made a nice play. Quarterback read it as quarters. He sunk back and made a great play on the ball.
And then at the other safety spot, was the plan to split time between Ronnie and Grant, or did Ronnie have some issue that took him out for a bit?
No, just the normal plan to rotate those guys in.
Thanks.
Thanks, Scott. We have time for three more. Nate Ulrich, Mary Kay Cabot, Marla Ridenour. Nate.
Hey, Kevin. I'm just to kind of review the timeline with you, make sure I have it right. So Baker took all the first team reps on Tuesday. By that time, I mean, certainly your medical staff had gone over the latest scans and knew about the fracture, right?
Correct.
Okay. So I'm just wondering, and I know you said it's all based on medical advice and everything moving forward, but so when you guys get back on the field Monday, are you thinking that Baker's going to be able to practice at this point, or, how are you going to kind of approach the week ahead as you figure out what Halloween looks like against the Steelers?
Yeah, I would tell you, Nate, I don't know. I got to get to Monday to see how all these guys are doing and how they're doing in their rehab before we concern ourselves with Monday or Halloween, as you put it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nate. Mary Kay, go ahead.
Yeah, I was also going to follow up on Baker, so you might have covered this a little bit, but he did mention that he needs that fracture to heal before he feels comfortable playing again. Yet, by the same token, he feels like he's going to be able to play against the Steelers. So my question is, given that you're kind of optimistic or hopeful, I think is what you said about Nick and Jack. I mean, are you hopeful about Baker too, seeing as though he feels like he can play?
Yeah, I think, Mary Kay, I'd tell you, we've been very consistent, our medical team with Baker on this injury, and we'll continue I will continue to listen to the medical staff in terms of when Baker's ready to go.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Mary Kay. We'll close with Marla.
Yeah, Coach, I know you talked about Case, but just I was wondering, when you looked at the film, some of those deep balls weren't exactly, the greatest. I didn't know if that was rust or what you saw or thought about those.
Yeah, I think we didn't throw a great ball to Schwartzy, but I think Case was concerned about that half field post player. By and large, Marla, he processed, he got the ball out of his hands. We really wanted to share the rock in that game, so 10 guys touched it, which I thought was really important. So he's got plenty that he did well, plenty that he can do better.
When you looked at that fourth down again, what stood out about that?
He wasn't going to be denied. That was he's not necessarily known for that type of move there, but to break 2 tackles, to get the first, that was just a great individual effort.